This has been such a busy legal day. How are y'all doing? Happy Monday. Oh my gosh, y'all have been keeping me busy. What happened today? We had Young Thug with a hearing. We are working on that video right now. We had Donna with this emergency hearing. I've already put that one out. And then Young Dolph started his trial today too. So it's just like it's so many people in court. Shout out to DW, one of the first people in chat right now. What we're going to do real quick, guys, I wanted to pop on here and look at opening statements from the Young Dolph case, just because that is a popular trial. It did take place today. We started with opening arguments, and I do want to take a look at that to see how the attorneys did. Now, Young Dolph is a rapper from the Tennessee area. People in his community loved him because he particularly gave back a lot to the community. So this murder took place a few years ago. It looks like there was a conspiracy element of this, or a conspiracy portion of this. And the person that is on trial, the gentleman, Hernandez Govan, is the person that put together the plot to have him killed. Now, what I love about opening arguments in almost every case is the prosecution really has to paint the narrative of what they believe they have on this person, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, to convince a jury that the person on trial actually committed the crime. Now, is this the first conviction in the Dolph trial? No. The person that actually pulled the trigger was tried, and that took place, I think it was last year or the year before. Either way, we have a nice recap video for you guys, but because we haven't live streamed in a while and the Donna Adelson case is starting, that's already heating up. So we definitely wanted to get back on camera with the squad, see how we're going to balance two cases at the same time. What I think that we'll do is I like to give you the short and dirty version. What we'll do with Dolph is at the end of the day, I will give you guys our recap. And during the daytime, we will be primarily focused on Donna Adelson. So good to see everybody. Look at some familiar names. We have Miss Nancy in the building. Good to see you, Nancy. Mixed chick. Oh my God. Where have you been? Where have you been? She says, it's been a minute for me. Good to see everybody. Gagged out. Good to see you. Jay Michelle is in the building as well. Gagged out has a yacht. Shout out to Michelle as well. Wayno. Michelle says, thank you for everything you do. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, we've got a lot. Like we got a ton to edit. So we're jumping in on this one as well. I'm particularly curious on it. So let us jump into opening statements. Remember, these are fresh. This is as of this morning. And I did see a lot of people, mainly those that are like local, checking it out. So let's take a look at this and see what opening statements look like. I think they're still live right now. So I might have to move these to 6 or 7 p.m. But what I will say is this. Law and Crime, of course, had people sitting around for hours today. So there's really not a lot of court time going on, right? So that's why I want to start with opening statements. I think they only really covered 1 or 2 witnesses. Like, look at that seal. The seal was up for a long time. We're seeing legs. So that's likely an inmate there. We saw 2, I think I've only counted 2 witnesses today. So they really haven't had a lot going on. But why don't we start with the opening?
Witness, if I make a decision prior to the case, will.
And Law and Crime, people in that chat are so mean. This is the judge. And they're like, oh my God, this is the Cisco judge. Come on. Like, be nice. Kat, I see you doing it too. Kat is juggling streams, okay? She gifted 5 AV memberships. Thank you so much, Kat. That's very, very nice of you. Kat Not Williams, please follow her channel if you haven't already. And if you received a membership from Kat, please tell her thank you. We have manners over here.
Good morning.
Here we go. Let's do it.
If you would all stand, raise your right hand so I can administer the oath. When I finish reading this, if you will respond with I do or I will. Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to well and truly try the issues that traverse herein?
And honestly, guys, I'm going to put it on 1.25 speed because people in the South speak a little bit slower. I do too. I speak a little slow, but we can watch it on 1.25 to get through these openings, see what the narrative
between
is.
the state of Tennessee and the defendant, Hernandez Govan, upon a true bill of indictment, charging him with the offenses of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and first-degree murder, a true deliverance make, and a true verdict render, according to the law and evidence. So help you God. Thank you. You may be seated. Before we begin the trial, I would like to tell you a little bit about what will happen during the course of these.
It'd be nice if you used your microphone.
I want to describe basically how the trial will be conducted and what the attorneys, jurors, and the judge will be doing over the course of the trial. At the end of the trial, I will give you more detailed instructions on how you are to go about reaching your decision. But now I simply want to explain how the trial will proceed. The defendant has been charged by the state of Tennessee with a violation of state law. The document containing the charges is referred to as an indictment. An indictment is the formal accusation charging a defendant with a crime and is not evidence of anything. The defendant has pled not guilty to these charges. He is presumed innocent and may not be found guilty by you unless, after hearing all of the evidence, attorney's arguments, and instructions of the law, the 12 jurors seated in this case unanimously find that the state has proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The first step in the trial will be the attorney's opening statements. The state will tell you about the evidence it intends to present so that you will have an idea of what the state's case is about. This opening statement is not evidence. Its only purpose is to help you understand what the evidence will be and what the state will attempt to prove. After the state's opening statement, the defense may make an opening statement if he so chooses. Again, statements of attorneys are not evidence. Next will be the state's case in chief, in which the state will present its evidence. The evidence in the case will most likely consist of physical exhibits, documents, and the testimony of witnesses. The witnesses will testify by answering questions asked by the attorneys. After the state completes its case in chief, the defense will be given an opportunity to present evidence through witnesses and exhibits. A defendant is not required to put on any evidence or to testify. The burden is always on the state to convince you that the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. If the defense does present proof, the state may then put on what is known as rebuttal proof. After the state's rebuttal proof, the defense may put on further proof. After you have heard all of the evidence, the state and the defense may present final arguments. I previously told you that opening statements by the attorneys are not evidence. Likewise, closing arguments are not evidence. Likewise, in closing arguments, the parties will attempt to summarize their cases and help you understand the evidence that was presented. The final part of the trial occurs when I instruct you about the rules of law that you are to use in reaching your verdict. After you hear my instructions, I will excuse the alternate jurors, and the final 12 jurors will leave the courtroom together. You will then begin your deliberations to make a decision in the case. Your deliberations will be secret, and you will not be required to explain your verdict to anyone. Now that I have described to you in outline form the trial itself, let me explain the functions that you and I will perform during the trial.
All right, Judge, I think we got it.
I will decide which rules of law apply to the case. My decisions will be reflected in my responses to questions and objections the attorneys raised during the trial, as well as in my final jury instructions. It is your job to determine what the facts are from the evidence. You must then apply the law in my instructions to the facts, and from that application, you will arrive at your verdict. The state has the burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt, and this burden remains on the state throughout the entire case. Keep in mind that the defendant is presumed to be innocent of the charges against him. Thus, a defendant is not required to prove his innocence, to have his attorney make any statements or arguments, or to produce any evidence. You, as jurors, must decide whether the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant has committed the crimes charged in the indictment. You must base that decision only on the evidence in the case and my instructions about the law. An important part of your job will be making judgments about the testimony of the witnesses who testify. You should decide whether you believe what each person says and the importance of his or her testimony. In making that decision, I suggest that you ask yourself a few questions. Did the person impress you as honest? Did he or she have any particular reason not to tell the truth? Did he or she have a personal interest in the outcome of the case? Did the witness seem to have a memory of the events he or she testified about? Did the witness have the opportunity and ability to observe accurately the things he or she testified about? Did he or she appear to understand the questions clearly and answer them directly? Did a witness's testimony differ from the testimony of other witnesses? These are a few of the considerations that will help you determine the accuracy of each witness's testimony. In making up your mind and reaching a verdict, do not base any decision on the fact that there were more witnesses on one side than on the other. Likewise, do not reach a conclusion on a particular point just because more witnesses testified from one side on that point. Your job is to think about the testimony of each witness you heard and decide the facts. Some of you have probably heard the terms circumstantial evidence and direct evidence. These are the two basic types of evidence that exist in law. Direct evidence is direct proof of a fact, such as the testimony of an eyewitness. Circumstantial evidence is proof of facts from which you may infer or conclude that other facts exist. I will give you further instructions on these as well as other matters at the end of the case. Keep in mind that you may consider both kinds of evidence, which are considered to be of equal value in the law. The court will not provide you with a transcript of the testimony at the end of the trial. Therefore, you must listen very carefully to the testimony. Each of you will be allowed to take notes during the trial for your own understanding during your deliberations. You are not required to take notes. Independent memory can be as accurate as written notes. You will be provided paper and pen if you decide to take notes. During the course of the trial, you should not talk with any witness, defendant, or attorney involved in the case. Please do not talk with them about any subject matter whatsoever. If you see anybody in the hallway or
These always take forever, by the way.
Perhaps the best standing rule is to not say anything. You also should not discuss this case among yourselves until I instruct you on the law and you start deliberating at the end of the case. It is important that you wait until all of the evidence is received and you have heard all of my instructions on the rules of law before you deliberate among yourselves. During the course of the trial, you will receive all of the evidence you may properly consider to decide the case. Because of this, you should not attempt to do any research on your own or gather any information on your own that you think might be helpful. I do not know if there will be any media reports in the newspaper, on TV, or any radio about this particular case. I think there may be. If there are, you are not permitted to read, watch, or listen to these reports.
You know they're gonna watch.
You as jurors must base your decision solely on the evidence you hear in the courtroom. At times during the trial, an attorney may make an objection to a question that is asked by another attorney or to an answer that a witness gives. This simply means that the attorney is requesting that I make a decision on a particular rule of law. Do not draw any conclusions from the fact that an objection was made or from my ruling on that objection. My rulings only relate to the legal questions that I must determine and should not influence your thinking. If I sustain an objection for a question, the witness will not be permitted to answer the question. Do not attempt to guess what the answer might have been had the witness been permitted to give it. Similarly, if I tell you not to consider a particular statement that was made, you should put that statement out of your mind, and you may not refer to that statement in your later deliberations. You may not ask questions. It is the responsibility of the attorneys to present the evidence. You must decide the case on the evidence presented.
He ain't playing.
Finally, during the course of the trial, I may have to interrupt the proceedings to confer with the attorneys about the rules of law that should apply. In some cases, we may have bench conferences in the courtroom outside of your hearing. And in some instances, I may ask you to retire to the jury room while we discuss a matter out of your presence. I will try to avoid as many of these interruptions as possible. We will try to resolve some of these things in the morning before we get started. I ask your patience because these interruptions are necessary points in the trial where we have to resolve legal issues. In the long run, they save time for us all. If after your
Squeaky
deliberation,
chair.
you find the defendant
Squeaky
guilty of
chair.
any
Enter the
offense,
chat.
the court will set the punishment at a separate sentencing hearing. The jury will not be involved in setting the punishment. This completes my opening comments to you. We will now proceed with the reading of the indictment.
All right, let's go. What are the charges?
So you do have note pens and papers. You're sitting on them. They should be under your cushion.
Indictment number 2204769. State of Tennessee versus Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, Cornelius Smith, Hernandez Govan, Jamarcus Johnson. Indictment for conspiracy to commit murder first degree, murder first degree. Tennessee Code annotated 3912103. Sketch Code 31015, Tennessee Code annotated 3913202, Sketch Code 21015. Witness F. Frias, MPD, summoned for the state, J. Browning, Multi-Agency Gang Unit, J. Browning. A true deal, signed Miriam Bernard, foreperson of the grand jury, date indictment returned November 10th, 2022. State of Tennessee, Criminal Court of Shelby County, September term 2022. Count 1. The grand jurors of the state of Tennessee, duly selected and paneled, sworn and charged to inquire for the body of the county of Shelby, Tennessee, upon their oath present that Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, Cornelius Smith, Hernandez Govan, Jamarcus Johnson, between June 1st, 2021 and March 1st, 2022, in Shelby County, Tennessee, and before the finding of this indictment, did unlawfully, intentionally, with premeditation, and with the intent to commit the offense of first-degree murder, as classified in Tennessee Code annotated 3913202, against the person of Adolph Thornton Jr., enter into an agreement with each other to commit the said offense. That said Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, Cornelius Smith, Hernandez Govan, and Jamarcus Johnson, acting for the purpose of promoting or facilitating the commission of the said offense, and agreeing that one or more of them would engage in conduct.
So this is the prosecutor, guys. She's reading out the original indictment. I kind of want to skip all of that because we have an explainer video for you guys dropping in the morning. But as I was editing that, the opening statement started. So I was like, all right. So don't worry if you're missing any of the details on this one. I got you covered. That one should come out tomorrow. But I did want to get some of these shots of the opening statement so we can hear it from the prosecutor. And if you missed the beginning, I kind of give you a primer of this case. The person that's on trial right now is the mastermind behind the conspiracy to commit Dolph's murder,
which would constitute the said offense. In furtherance of the conspiracy of the said conspiracy, one or more of the parties to the conspiracy committed an overt act, to wit, Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, traveled to 2370 Airways Boulevard and killed Adolph Thornton Jr. Cornelius Smith traveled to 2370 Airways Boulevard and killed Adolph Thornton Jr. Hernandez Govan solicited both Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, and Cornelius Smith to kill Adolph Thornton Jr. Jamarcus Johnson aided in Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop's, hideout and escape after the killing of Adolph Thornton Jr. Aided communications between Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, and Cornelius Smith after the killing of Adolph Thornton Jr., and facilitated payments to Cornelius Smith for the killing of Adolph Thornton Jr., all of which is in violation of Tennessee Code annotated 3912103 against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Steve Mulroy, District Attorney General, 30th Judicial District. Count 2. The grand jurors of the state of Tennessee, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, and charged to inquire for the body of the County of Shelby, Tennessee, upon their oath present that Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, Cornelius Smith, Hernandez.
Did I say that wrong, guys? Young Dolph was actually killed. He is the person that was murdered.
Govan on November 17, 2021, in Shelby County, Tennessee, and before the finding of this indictment, did unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation kill Adolph Thornton Jr. in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated 39-13-202 against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Signed, Steve Mulroy, District Attorney General, 30th Judicial District.
Mr. Govan and counsel, how do you think?
Not guilty to both counts, Your Honor.
All right. Govan says not guilty for both.
Good morning.
Prosecution starts its opening
We met
here.
last week, but for formality's sake, my name is Iris Williams, and I represent the state of Tennessee. When I was a kid, one thing that my mom always told me is that there are few things that we can control. But one of those things are our choices. Our choices can move mountains. Our choices can get us into trouble. And our choices can mean life and death. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about choices. You're going to hear a lot of evidence this week. You're going to hear a lot of names. But the name that I want you to remember is Hernandez Govan. And I want you to remember the choices he made. And even more importantly, I want you to remember the consequences of those choices. Picture this. November 17th, 2021. The victim, Adolph Thornton, and his brother. They pull up to Makita's Cookie Shop on Airways Boulevard. They park the car, they get out, they talk to the cashier, and seconds later, a white Mercedes pulls up and Adolph Thornton is gunned down and killed. You'll hear from Dr. Juliet Scantleberry, the medical examiner in this case. She'll tell you that Thornton's body had around 20 gunshot entrance wounds
Jeez.
to his neck, his chest, his arms, and a catastrophic injury to his face. But how did we get here? How do we start? Where will we begin? This trial will begin with Erica Thornton. She'll tell you that she is Mr. Thornton's sister. She'll tell you about the last time that she saw her brother alive. And she'll tell you when she heard that he was gone. And after Ms. Thornton testifies, you'll hear from Mr. Raul Hopkins. He'll tell you that he worked for security for Thornton for years. And Adolph Thornton just wasn't Adolph Thornton. He was known across the city as Young Dolph, a musician. His music, his artistry, his journey, his ambition inspired and spoke to this city in ways that a lot of artists just couldn't do. Thornton made his own way in the music industry, and he created a label called PRE, Paper Route Empire. Hopkins will tell us about it. He'll tell us that Adolph Thornton made his way in the music industry and created opportunities for other artists. But when you create opportunities for others, some people don't see you like that. So Hopkins will tell us about another label, CMG, also known as Cocaine Music Group. He'll tell us about the history and the tension between these two labels. He'll tell us that CMG wanted Thornton as their own, but when he decided to pave his own way, when he decided to be self-made, he became CMG's enemy.
Uh-oh.
Hopkins is going to set the stage for how this story truly began. And after Hopkins, you'll hear from Cornelius Smith. And this is when it all will click. Smith is a co-defendant. He'll tell you that he met Govan in 2021. They met through Smith's friend, Bobby Carter. And Smith has a couple of nicknames for Govan. He calls him Big Bro or Quet. Govan started out by selling drugs to Smith, pills more specifically. But that's not the only thing that Govan did. Govan chose Smith. And Govan chose him to do a job. Govan also chose Justin Johnson, another co-defendant, to do that same job, a job that ended in the life and death of Adolph Thornton Jr. He chose two desperate people: Smith, needing money, needing to support his family; Justin Johnson, an aspiring and up-and-coming rap artist that wanted to be on CMG's label, the very label that Govan had access to and was affiliated with. Smith will also talk about a meeting at Govan's house. The people present at that meeting were Smith, Govan, Justin Johnson, and Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Jook is the number 2 person at the CMG label. Smith will tell you that Govan said that there was a bounty on Adolph Thornton's life. In fact, there were multiple bounties on PRE artists. Govan told Smith that there was a $100,000 bounty on Adolph Thornton's life.
Uh-oh, there it is.
And that the money was good. The money was guaranteed if Smith and Johnson completed this job. So what did they do? What did the 2 desperate people do? They agreed. And Govan asked for a $10,000 cut from each of them. He chose to ask for this cut from each of them. And one thing that is important to note is that Smith and Johnson didn't even really know each other, but they knew Govan. Govan was the link between them. So let's fast forward to November 2021. Smith hears that Thornton and other PRE artists are in town. It's Thanksgiving time. PRE often hosts turkey drives at different locations across the city. So they knew that they were
That's nice.
Justin Johnson picks up Smith from Smith's father's house, and they go hunting. They get to a stoplight on Airways, and at that stoplight, they see a special car pass through. And what is that car? A blue camouflage Corvette. Most people in Memphis know that there's only one person in this city that drives that car in this region of town: Adolph Thornton. So what does Smith and what does Johnson do? They follow that car. They follow that car. The car parks at Nikita's Cookie Shop. And seconds later, Smith and Johnson pull up in a stolen white Mercedes, gun down, and kill Adolph Thornton Jr. in broad daylight. They get back in the car, speed off, but not before Thornton's brother, Marcus Thornton, fires shots and shoots Smith. So Smith and Johnson are in this stolen white Mercedes. But where did they go? They go to ditch the car. They ditch the car, and we'll hear from Sergeant Dabney that the car was left at 1174 Bradley Street, which they later found out is directly across the street from the defendant's home. After they ditch the car, Cornelia Smith and Justin Johnson go to an apartment complex to change clothes and clean up their wounds. Cornelius notices something. He doesn't have his phone.
Oh my God.
He realizes that he left his phone in the white Mercedes, the murder car that they left across the street from the defendant's house. So what does he do? He uses Justin Johnson's phone to contact his own girlfriend, Angela Arnold, and you will also hear from her.
This is not
You'll hear
starting
from
good.
Angela Arnold, and you'll hear from Cornelia Smith that she picked him up from that apartment complex. When she picked him up, he told her what happened. He told her that he was hurt, and told her that he was missing his phone. So what did he do next? Smith contacted Govan from Angela Arnold's phone and asked to meet so he could get his phone back. Ladies and gentlemen, there are copious amounts of phone records, and Sergeant Browning will testify that these call detail records will support what Smith is saying. And if that's not enough, Angela Arnold will tell you that she and Smith met with Govan after the murder so that Smith could get his phone back.
Oh my God. These boys. I'm telling you. Oh.
But that's not where it is.
But that's more of the other person, not Govan.
Smith will tell you that at that exchange, Govan gave him money to buy a car cover, to hide the white Mercedes, to hide the murder car that was parked directly across the street from his own home. Not only that, but the day before Cornelius Smith was arrested, he ran into Govan. Govan was concerned. Govan was worried that Cornelius Smith had not been paid. And so what did he tell Smith? He told Smith that he was going to go to Privé to make sure Smith got his money. Privé is a lounge and restaurant that's affiliated with CMG artists. Ladies and gentlemen, choices. A choice to get two desperate people to agree to murder Adolph Thornton. A choice to guarantee them money. A choice to ask for a cut of that money. A choice to help one of the killers get his phone back after the murder. A choice to make sure that one of the killers got paid after the murder. Choices. When you hear all of the evidence,
Oh no, that's it?
and when you hear all of the videos and look at all of the photos and exhibits, you will see the consequences of Govan's actions. Violence, death, loss. A
I
man,
hope she's not going to
a
finish it.
human being taken from this world in one of the most shocking of ways
That means they don't
Given
have
cookies.
much.
for his family in broad daylight in his neighborhood during the holidays. At the end of this week, the state will be asking you, the jury, to make a choice. The defendant is charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and first-degree murder. Last week in jury selection, we talked about theories of conspiracy and criminal responsibility. And once you have heard all of the evidence, the state will ask you to make a choice and find Hernandez Govan guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Thank you.
She's done. That is why we have time for evening recaps on this one. Because shout out to Kiana. She did say that they would be done at the end of the week. I will tell you guys, and shout out to Seti Nash. I was actually talking to him last week, and we're talking about this particular case. And I believe if you guys do want to see more, Seti actually had an interview with someone from the defense team or another attorney. It was very interesting. I did get a chance to watch it, and that's how I became interested in this case. But if that's all the state had, and remember, I put it on 1.25 speed. So maybe that's why it feels like it just went so fast. It looks like it was about a half hour long. But if that's all the state has, because you guys know with all these trial notebooks, I really pay attention to what people are talking about here. I want to know what this defendant did. What did Govan do? Aside from some hearsay statements, like he said, she said, I mean, prove it. Prove it. So she talked about choices for the overall theme. How do you guys think that the state did here? 1 through 5. Let me know, because we will have time to do evening recaps if this is how slow it's moving. And mind you, I believe they are still live right now. Okay, they had people waiting for like 3-4 hours today. Okay, they stopped for the day. They've only gotten through, let me count, 1, 2. They've only gotten through like 2 or 3 witnesses. Like, I'm like, what are y'all doing? So this is gonna be a slow, fast trial. TSOJ says 1.5. Gloria says 4. Okay, Gloria, 4 for her. Philip said 2.34. We'll round up. But I was expecting to hear more about the evidence, because sometimes in opening you do want to prove things in a specific way. You don't want to prove it, but you want to set it up so it's guideposts for what you're about to show this jury, right? She mentioned some of the things, like I do think that the phone was interesting, but if the shooter left his phone in the car, I mean, the shooter left the phone. But here's the thing, if the shooter is calling Govan, what proof do you have that that's why he called Govan? Unless you have wiretaps or something. but you're asking for conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. These are heavy charges. Another one of you guys had mentioned that Tennessee is it's a death penalty state, right? These are heavy charges. So, that is what the prosecutor opened up with. All right. Let's see how the defense did. And then I'm going to pop up out of here, guys, because Young Thug was in court today. And shout out to Kat Not Williams. I know that she covered that. I have a reaction for you. So as soon as we're done, I'm going to post that as well. So if you missed that hearing today, you get to see Thug's big win of the day. I will definitely share that with you. A lot of people are asking about the Adelson trial. That is going to be my primary focus in the mornings. And at night, I will do a brief overview of what happened in the Dolph case, likely around 7 o'clock. So that way I have time to do court research, stuff like that, take a look at the footage myself. And of course, we will breeze through these. So Adelson, daytime, and about 7 o'clock, we will do these Dolph recaps. If there's not much that happens in the case, I might skip the day for Dolph. But Donna, tomorrow is day one for her. Today was day one for Govan's trial in the Dolph murder case. Young Thug was in court too. People had me busy. We've been stopping and recording, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go live. So, and thank you guys for reaching out as well and letting us know. Such a rookie, I hit the wrong button. That all of these things were happening at the same time. So we are back. Miss T says, am I pronouncing it wrong? Govan? Emphasis on the Van, or Von? Let me know, Miss T. You know, we like to make sure that we are on point over here. All right, let's see how the defense did. And we will jump back on in. Let me just X this one so I don't get confused. We are here. Perfect. Let's see how the defense did. We'll rate that as well, and then we will call it a night. Let's jump in. Share. It's reminding me of Miss Love. So yeah, this is the gentleman, I think, that was on with SETI. Before we get on with that, because that attorney is pretty good from what I've heard so far, what is the daytime case about? Oh my God. So this one's a little crazy. I was just explaining it to someone else. If you have not heard about the Donna Adelson case, just watch my last 4 videos, okay? Donna Adelson is this grandma, right? She has a daughter. Her name is Wendy. She was married to another law professor she met in law school. So Wendy, Dan Markell. They were married. Now, they got divorced, and the couple had 2 kids. Now, Dan's job was in Tallahassee, Florida, and Wendy wanted to move down to Miami with her family. Now, the grandma comes in because she is allegedly, and I'm calling her the Queen Pin grandma, the mastermind to hire some Latin kings to off the father, because Tallahassee and Miami is a 7-hour drive. Dan Markell is a law professor. The divorce got contentious. He was fighting it. He wanted to make sure that his 2 sons were with him. Now, there's all types of shady stuff. Even today, there was an emergency hearing on it. I'm telling you, this one's going to be good. It's going to be really good. If you want to catch up, I have a ton of videos for you guys. Just go to the Donna Adelson playlist. The Queen Pin grandma is the day case. All right. It's crazy. It is super crazy. But let's get to this defense opening. Hopefully it's a little bit longer and we could see what the defense's theory is. And shout out to Law and Crime chat people who say that the judge looks like Cisco. I mean, that's so mean. But I mean, she is pretty good. Like, I do like that we're with another Southern case here. Speaking of Southern cases, check out Kat Not Williams. I think she's doing 2 Georgia cases right now, or just finished one, and one is starting.
nothing.
You get connected to your laptop.
Right, but it went away.
All right, let's skip some of the shenanigans here. Looks like they're trying to play with a projector with a cup on it. Why? What is the cup? Is that an actual cup? That can't be a cup. Maybe it's a lampshade. These cases, we have these 1970s looks in these courtrooms. You guys remember ASAP Rocky? Maybe it's law and crime. Okay, they're trying to get the projector and everything to work. How many people does it take to set it up? I would have been mad if we were watching this live. I'm just saying.
This
Here we
is the
go.
first, the only Indian guy that doesn't know how to do IT. My name is Manny Aurora. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here representing Mr. Hernandez Govan,
Hey,
along with
ATL.
former IT specialist Robert Wilson, who's also a lawyer, Haley Halty-Wanger, who's sitting in the white suit, and then also Beth Noble, who's in the black suit, as far as that goes. Last week, I talked to you guys a lot about first impressions, and the reason I mentioned that is sometimes the first impression can be wrong. I listened to a very beautiful, eloquent speech from the prosecutor in this case, and it sounds really, really good. But that's the false first impression, because you promised that as a peer of Mr. Govan, you would listen to everything. So let me share to you the rest of the story. This entire case is going to come down to the guy with the machine gun that shot off Adolph Horton. The whole case is going to come down to him and then possibly his girlfriend backing up.
I called
the
it.
story. Remember, Cornelius Smith has made at least 5 different statements to law enforcement over the course of a year where everything changes. He's then met with the prosecution at least 5 or 6 times to go over his testimony prior to testifying here today. So you should ask yourself the question when the judge instructed you, does somebody have a reason to lie? Do they have an interest in the outcome? You are caught red-handed on video, and you're about to see it in a second, taking an AK-47 and lighting it up at a cookie store in broad daylight. He's facing a mandatory life sentence, as I'm going to question him about. And I ask each and every one of you, what would you do if you were facing a mandatory life sentence to get out of it? Why would you need to make so many different statements if you were telling the truth? Because remember,
He's a little soft-spoken, guys. I'm just putting on the audio booster, giving you a warning right now that the audio levels will heighten.
the truth is the truth. You don't need to practice it. You don't need to remember it. It's the truth. So let's see who the government has gotten in bed with to try to prove their case against Hernandez Govan. Robert?
Not in bed. Oh, oh my God. Oh my God.
So the man you have to believe is the man who's capable of, in broad daylight, carrying an AK-47, going into a store full of people, and just, without hesitation, opening fire. And he's the one that's going to tell you that Mr. Govan did this, this, and this. Nothing that he says can be validated. The other thing the government's going to try to talk to you about is cell phone tower records. The expert that the government may call, or if they don't call him, I'll call him, will tell you tower records are inherently unreliable because it's not like on TV. There's a reason why all the engineers from the cell phone providers, T-Mobile, AT&T specifically, write their letters. They will not testify in court because of unreliability. The other thing you have to know, and Robert put up the slide, within a 10 square mile area of where all this happened, there are 553 T-Mobile towers. 553 just from T-Mobile. And it's hard to see this because there's so many. There will be more AT&T towers. There will be this, essentially over 1,000 towers out there. And what the expert will tell you is, this isn't an exact science. Just because your phone pings on a certain tower doesn't mean you were there. See, towers get filled up, and you may have to transfer the next tower near. All these people live within a couple of mile radius, so of course it's going to hit all these towers. But there is 553 just from T-Mobile within the area where all this happened. They talk to you about conspiracy and how Govan picked these 2 individuals. The state chooses to cherry pick a little bit here and a little bit there from each of the statements. But let me play a 5-second clip about how all this supposedly happened. I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying Govan is involved in one way, shape, or form. But if you want to believe Cornelius Smith, the AK-47 shooter, and God knows how many other shootings he's done, and he'll talk about it. I want you to listen to this.
It was one day me and Elder was out right, and I wanted some XPs, so I went to the courthouse to get the XPs on him, and Juke was over there. And when I walked in, there was one quick told Juke, this little seat right here, and my little Juke was like, he him out. First he said, take all the phones outside, you know. He ain't say my phone, he was saying quit the phone, but I passed my phone to make it feel comfortable. So took the phones outside, and Juke was like, hit him out of here, get him, and he got us. And I can't recall like exactly when it was, but that's what he said.
All right. So the state just told you to your face that Mr. Govan picked out 2 desperate people. Cornelius Smith, if you are to believe him, says in his statement, I just happened to be going by Quet's house, Govan's house, to buy some ecstasy pills with my girlfriend. Juke happened to be there. He doesn't say Quet said a word. Juke says there's a hate on everybody, and I got you. And Juke says, take the phones outside while I talk to you. Assuming you believe any of that's true. And the reason I ask you if you think any of that's true is the police never went to question Juke, aka Anthony Tibbs, or Yo Gotti, or any of the people with CMG. Never
Yo Gotti.
tried to do an interview. So this is as plain as day. Juke said do it. Quet didn't say anything. Quet lives in the poorest part of Memphis in Orange Mound. Sells a few ecstasy pills to make a living and hustles with some sports gambling. He's a nobody, and that's why I asked you about the peers. He's a throwaway that they can blame. Why did they not talk to Juke or anybody else with CMG? Ever. Now, Juke ended up getting killed in 2024, 2.5 years after the fact. Never arrested, never talked to, never interviewed, never pursued, never surveilled, nothing. The judge also told you, when you assess credibility, you need to look at how well you remember this thing. Cornelius Smith cannot even tell you when he was propositioned to go kill somebody. The shooting happened in November 17, 2021. And the best the police can say is that the meeting, where just randomly happened, as Cornelius himself has said, was sometime between August and September, 3 months prior to the shooting taking place. 3 months. He will tell you there's no plan. All he was told by Juke was there's a price on their heads. And that's kind of funny because when the cops, if they testify honestly, will tell you there have been multiple attempts on Mr. Dolph's life. Twice in Charlotte by other folks and once in Los Angeles. Everybody in Memphis knew there was a price on their head because there was a war between PRE and CMG. They were shooting each other. Yo Gotti's car was shot up here. The song 100 Shots came up after one of these things. There's a rivalry going on and people have been shooting. The police went through this. They know this. They also pulled YouTube videos where people are openly threatening to kill Dolph. It's in their slideshow. You know what they call their investigation? Operation Cookie Monster. That's how tasteful this whole thing has gotten with these folks. I'm sorry, my arms are shaking because I'm so furious that we're here as far as the trial goes.
Oh my
So the other
God.
thing the government hasn't told you when we talk about first impressions is for weeks prior to the November 17, 2021 shooting, nobody called Govan, talked to him, did anything, be it Justin Johnson or Cornelius Smith. What Cornelius will tell you, which the government didn't tell you, is that morning, it was Cornelius's daughter's birthday. But he gets a call from Justin Johnson and says, I got a car, let's go do something. They get in the car and they start driving around, just looking for somebody to kill. They just happened to see young Dolph's car going by. And they open fire. And they kill him. And the interesting thing is, even though nobody communicated with Govan for weeks prior to this, they didn't talk to him that morning. He didn't help him get the car. He didn't help him escape. He didn't tell him what to do. He didn't tell him where to go. He didn't do anything. It was a spontaneous issue between 2 young men that morning. They shot him. And you know why there's no plan? Because they just start calling random people after the shooting. They don't call Logan. They have to go someplace to get bandaged up as far as that goes. The people that help them, never been charged with accessories to anything.
Man.
They get rid of whatever they need to get rid of.
Man.
They left the car across the street from Govan's house on the middle of the street, in front of the street. So if there's some master plan, that may be one of the dumbest plans you could possibly have if you're going to kill the most important person, the most famous person in Memphis, as far as that goes. Again, there were no phone contacts for weeks prior to the shooting, especially in the morning. Govan wouldn't know that the Mercedes was used. The only way anybody finds out is social media blows up right away, and multiple people start calling Justin Johnson, including Govan, who knows him, because the word's out that Justin may have done this. Trayon Ingram is another word you'll hear. he actually carjacked the white Mercedes and then gave it to these gentlemen to use in the shooting. He's not charged in this case. He's only
Wow.
charged with carjacking.
Wow.
But he happened to pick up another murder right after this happened, and so now he's in custody for the other murder that he committed. Perhaps when making first impressions, you would have wanted to know that.
Yeah.
Let me.
This is looking like a pro
I
defense.
thought about going over at least one of Cornelius's statements in his life, but I think it's just a little too much. We would be here for about 2 hours going through everything that he said has been inconsistent, bald-faced lies. In fact, you know how somebody's lying? Because in his first interview, that lasted a little over an hour, 32 times he told the police, trust me, I promise, I swear to God, I wouldn't lie to you. 32 times he says that before answering one of his questions on one of his first interviews after he's caught. And
Wow.
after he's caught, his girlfriend gets questioned because they ran down the license plate numbers, all that stuff with the cars. She lies through her teeth on December 14th of 2021, says, I don't know nothing about nothing. Because Cornelius to talk to her to try to make up a false alibi. See, where's the plan in all this? See, if I have a plan to go kill somebody, we have a place to go dig something far away. I have people that can cover for me as an alibi. I don't make random phone calls. And so Angela, who knew nothing about this, according to her, picks them up at the location where they're getting bandaged up for being shot, drives them around town, helps them out. Of course, she's not charged. She initially lies and denies everything. The police then come back and say, we're going to charge you if you don't tell us the truth. And so on the 17th of December, 3 days later, she comes back. But what the police don't know at that time is Mr. Cornelius Smith has called 4 of his family members to reach out to Angela to get the story straight. Because he keeps saying on the jail phone calls, find out what she said, find out what she said, find out what she said. And then on the 17th, it comes back, and they're talking to her. And she says, well, we went over to that house sometime in the past, just like we talked about. She doesn't know anybody. She said, I can't think of his name. And the interesting part is, the officers say, is it somebody named Q? And then she says, oh yeah, it's Queb. Remember the phrase Bobby Carter that they mentioned? Bobby Carter also lives on Bradley Avenue. They're good friends with Cornelius Smith. They buy pills together. They do ecstasy pills together. And the other thing Angela Smith says is, Govan brought us the phone after the fact. How was that part of any plan or anything else? They called and said, give me a phone. The interesting thing about that is if it's true and you believe her, there would be fingerprints on the car. The police fingerprinted it, DNA'd it, did everything. Cornelius' fingerprints are there. Trail Ingram's fingerprints are there. Kirsten Garner, the other guy that worked with Trail to steal the car, his fingerprints are there. There's DNA in there. There's blood in there. But nothing with regards to Govan.
Wow.
Found the car 3 days after the shooting took place across the street from Mr. Govan's house. Has nothing to do with him, didn't touch it. So if he didn't do that, how does he open the door? And frankly, how did he get the keys to open the door? See, Cornelius didn't give you the details. Did they lock the car after he left? Where were the keys? He doesn't know about any of that stuff. So tell me how Mr. Govan got into the car and how he did it so beautifully, being dumb enough to take the murder car, one of the most famous people, and say, let's just park it across the street, and then somehow magically wipe his prints, DNA, hair, anything out of that car while he's looking for the phone. You know why that is? Because he didn't do it. What you're going to hear from Trayon Ingram is Trayon Ingram, when he stole the car, left his backpack, his wallet, and some other things in the car. And he had Justin Johnson go get them. You will hear that from Trayon Ingram's own statement with regards to that car. This is why I talk about first impressions, because they always could be misleading, and in this case, patently false. When you cherry pick the evidence that you want to tell me, and then have the cameras rolling on a high-profile case to pressure you to commit the verdict of guilty, is patently unfair. And just because he's a nobody and doesn't have money like Gotti or Jook, his brother, who was never even questioned or charged, he's the fall guy in all this stuff. He didn't do anything. Even if you believe Cornelius, all he says is, I just happened to show up there, and he said, hey, this is a little seat. Jook took over and started doing all the talking. Do you think that man could pay somebody $100,000 and you'd say, yeah, he's good for it. I don't need any validation. He's good for it. And interestingly enough, Cornelius' story also changes along with Angela's, because initially we were supposed to be paid $1.5 million. Then after another interview, it became $1 million. Then it became $500,000. Then it became $100,000. Then it became, we're going to split $100,000 between me and Justin Johnson. Then it became, somebody gave me $50,000 in a brown paper bag. Then it became, oh no, I'm wrong about that. It was after I was arrested. Somebody gave my lawyer $38,000 in a bag to represent me. That's how many times the story has shifted as far as that goes. But the one thing that he does say is, after I got the money from Mr. Jook's people, it was understood that he was on that team. Again, Jook never arrested, never talked to, even though he says that's where the money's coming from. That guy doesn't have $1 million or $100,000 or anything like that. I may walk around wearing fancy ties, but he's indicted. The judge has found that. I'm here to help him Because people that are labeled as nobodies, I will not tolerate it. He needs to be fought for. He is your peer. We need to do this right. Mr. Govan, stand up.
Okay.
Hold your head up high. Mr. Govan matters. You can't do this to people just for political gain because you got to solve a crime because somebody famous died. It's just wrong. But you can sit down. We can't have a society like this where you base convictions on assault rifle people opening up fire on somebody. And you remember, you couldn't even remember when that meeting was, that random meeting? The best thing you could do is remember that the meeting was sometime between when you tried to shoot Wu or somebody else. That's the best he could do as far as that goes. And so you have to believe if this meeting happened, for 3 months nothing goes on, and then one day it just happens. Remember I asked you about pork chops and chicken and all that kind of stuff, if you're going to do something, even if you have a plan and it changes? If you believe any of that, he didn't have any plan. If you have a plan, you have a place to go. You have a place to hide out. You got an alibi built in. None of that happens. None of that happens. And Mr. Cornelius Smith is going to get up here and tell you, I want to bare my soul, I want to come clean, I'm going to do all this other stuff. You know, I call BS on that hard because when he tells you that, he will. Because he testified to it before that he wants to bare his soul. He wants to make amends. Then ask yourself, why for 4 years didn't he just take a guilty plea and take his life sentence and start making amends? He still hasn't played anything. His lawyers in negotiations with the government. There's quote no deal, but you know, we do good things out of our heart when we're caught dead, red-handed murdering somebody because we don't want any benefit by coming on the stage and telling you whatever you guys want to hear. 6 times with interviews, 6 potentially more times with the government, more interviews. The truth doesn't change. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to practice it. You don't have to rehearse it. It is what it is. And this is not the truth.
He's crushing it.
I think I mentioned it in jury selection, but responsibility for your actions goes both ways. There's going to be a lot lacking in this case. For example, you'll hear about a lot of cell phone records and who may have called who, but the full-on analysis is never, well, I'll just leave that for the expert. It's all coming down to Cornelius and possibly where somebody's phone might have been. You don't know what they said, if they even talked, or if as a friend you're calling somebody after a shooting because everybody starts calling everybody within minutes after this, the social media blew up after this happened. You all know it. You all heard it. Everybody knew about it. Govan is your peer. He deserves better. We shouldn't be here. High-profile TV cameras or not. Sympathy for a young man who's a musician, whatever he was. Nobody deserves to die. But you don't compound the problem by blaming innocent people for it. And even if you don't want to believe he's innocent, you want to believe Cornelius. They sure as heck didn't prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. I talked to you guys about that with the British system. It's either guilty or they didn't prove it. So I'm asking you to at least at a minimum say he didn't prove it in about 3 or 4 days from now. Thank you.
Wow. Shout out to Manny, huh? Wow, that was good. Remember, this case is taking place in Tennessee, the great state of Tennessee. This attorney had traveled from Atlanta, from Georgia, to represent Govan. And shout out to YT Johnson, who's telling us here, Manny Aurora defends those fighting from violence to white-collar crime. I mean, guys, I put a poll up just to see what y'all were thinking. I'm like, what's the jury thinking, guys? Prosecutor was more convincing. I have you at 34%. Defense was more convincing, 66%. One thing that Manny here did well at, as we have a cup projector, as you know, they're trying to get all that together. He mentioned a lot of things that the prosecution team just kind of left out of their opening argument. Like how there was a hit out on Dolph, right? Meaning that there were 2 attempts on his life in Charlotte, and there was 1 attempt in LA. That there are 553 cell phone towers in that area, and his phone didn't ping to any of them at the time that this took place. Not any of them, but at least where other things are happening. So shout out to Senator who's like, down south, prosecutors down bad. I mean, they are. They are. I mean, and like he said, he thinks that this case is going to wrap up in 3 to 4 days. For a defense attorney to say that in an opening argument, that means they are very, very confident that there's not enough to prosecute here. Remember, conspiracy, first-degree murder. The other guy, we saw the clip. Y'all saw the clip. I showed you the clip. That clip was also in the opening argument. Now I'm also learning about this case from you guys. It looks like a daughter was lost at one point. Was it? It wasn't Dolph, Govan's daughter. I think somebody said that Govan's daughter, he lost his daughter or something along those lines. Some people still think that he is guilty. Govan is guilty and still conspired. It's just that the prosecution doesn't have proof. And before I forget, guys, because we're about to head out and move on to our next cases, do me a favor and type in happy birthday to Sire. This is one of my favorite people in chat. He has been rocking with me forever. Is here for all of the cases, almost every single case I've covered on this channel. So I'm really happy to see Dolph. I'm really happy to see Sire in chat today celebrating his 54th birthday. So thank you guys so much for hitting it for, hold on, let's hit it one time for Sire, okay? Happy birthday, Sire. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the day. We're getting all the birthday love here. Gloria says happy birthday. Honey Love says happy birthday. Freedom from Fear says happy birthday as well. I thought I saw DW, and DW had gifted Sire a membership. Toka Badass, good to see you. Senator's in here as well. There we go. We have it. We have the birthday wishes. I try to do it for y'all if I could see it in chat, you know, but if I see you say it's your birthday, you're going to get a Chatterhood big happy birthday wish. All right. So with that being said, guys, like I said, that is the opening arguments for the prosecution and the defense. You see the comparison. If you're watching this on replay, I have broken it out for you, right? So you're going to be able to see the differences between the two. But this case looks like it's going to wrap up by the end of the week, which is great. Tomorrow's is the opening arguments. It's not opening arguments. Jury selection for Donna Adelson. So it might be quiet tomorrow on her case, but as soon as the opening argument starts, like y'all better put on your notifications. Like I'm on. We're getting back to trial time. I think that case is projected to go on for a month. So we will be with each other for a little bit, hang out in the Chatterhood. I can't wait to see what's happening because Donna came out today, like, you know, with emergency hearings and stuff before jury selection starts tomorrow. Why? Because Wendy's not trying to testify. She's trying to hide. She's trying to duck and dodge, but the judge agreed with her. I just put a video out on it. Check that out if you haven't already. Let's go through some super chats real quick and go from there. Miss Catnot Williams, if one of the mods could drop the link to her channel. Catnot Williams, I love her so much. She is an angel. One of my favorite people in LawTube. I went through some shenanigans over the summer. And she was like one of the first people to hit me up and call me. And she's like a remarkable peer. You couldn't ask for a better person, you know, as a colleague in this space on YouTube. You know, like she came up with us during the YSL trial. Like Kat is just always positive, and I'm just really happy that she comes through. She shows love. So if y'all could check out Kat's channel, that would be fantastic. She gifted 5 memberships. She did. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do it myself. I don't think any of the mods are here today. Let me drop the link to Kat's channel. I was popping in earlier. That's how I found out that there was a hearing today on YSL. I was like, oh, wait. Kat just told us that there was a hearing. Let me go see what's going on. So I'm going to drop that in the chat because Kat is amazing. She deserves it. And she should have I can't wait till she hits 100,000. We're going to have a big Kat party. Like we're going to have a big YSL reunion party when that happens. I'm really proud of Kat and all that she's accomplished here on YouTube. Great person. And, you know, there's not a lot of good people on this platform. I mean, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. There's not. So if y'all could check out the link to Kat's channel, that would be fantastic. Shout out to Senator. Yes, it's in the box. I have to unbox it. I'm trying to figure out, I wanted to unbox it during a Donna Adelson day this week. So shout out to Senator. You're going to learn all about his candle business. Thank you so much for sending that to me and more on that. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Shout out to D, hits me with a 2, says AV twice a day today. Cool. No, you're going to get AV 3 times. All right. 3 times. I have another video to approve after this one. So you guys could check out the YSL hearing if you have not already. The audio, and Kat could tell you, was horrendous. So we needed to take our time to fix that It was so bad, but Brian still had a win. So I'm really, really excited about that one. Sire says he didn't get his shirt. I sent you a link, Sire. I sent you a link. You should have a link, but it's okay. Also, channel announcement, we're taking down all of the Karen Reed merch, guys, because we need to make space for Adelson merch, okay? So that's coming. Every single merch idea that we have, you guys come up with, or sometimes we come up with them together, right? So just know that we're making space for that. So those will be discontinued. I forgot to do it on Saturday. Why did somebody go and get their order in? They were like, oh, she's taking them down. It's still up. Let me place my order real quick. People were still going to place orders because they knew I was going to get rid of them. So I guess it helped. So yes, another video is coming out tonight. Just going to go grab some dinner after this one. Shout out to Kelly Cal, our favorite 3L, has been with me for 8 months. Says perfect timing, just finished work. Yes, I mean, some of y'all are coming home on your commute, right? There you go, right? You're listening on your commute home, or maybe you're watching this in the future before the night ends. Thank you, Kelly Cal, for your time with me. Brother Irwin, I love the new name with the 5, says, AV, what it do? What it do? What it do, Brother E? E Capone, formerly. Good to see you. Big Daddy Vic became a member. Thank you, Big Daddy Vic, for becoming a member. Hopefully we can get through this trial pretty quick, but there's a lot of stuff going on. But thank you for renewing your membership. I recognize your name. You're not new to Chatterhood, but it's great to see you too, brother. DW gifted that membership to Sire. That was super sweet. Thank you for doing that. Lucretia, good to see you. I don't know if I say your name right, sis. Let me know. She's been with me for 13 months. Because here's the thing, guys, around August of last year, this is when I started covering YSL. So many of you found me through that time and you stuck around. So I appreciate you, sis. I'm so happy that you're still with me. Vegeta has been with me for a year too, says looks around. Happy anniversary, AV. Yes, it's good to see you. I'm happy you've been with me for just about a year too. There's so many of you guys that are my day ones. On Friday, we hit an interesting subscriber number. I've always wanted to do it. It was 77777 subscribers. It was amazing. And then, I posted about it. People I haven't seen in forever just started like saying, oh my God, I'm with you. I've been with you since you had 5,000 subscribers, 10. I'm like, man, y'all have been rocking with me for some time. So really happy that people like Lucretia and Lord Vegeta show these membership badges, because it shows that amount of time that the water's great. This is a great community. We have fun over here. And when we cut up and go through our trials, we have a great time. Like I had red cups and solo bags I said that wrong. Red solo cups and Stop and Shop bags for the Karen Reed trial. And people love that bagging and tagging shirt. I'm telling you, the merch, the jokes, all of it, it is amazing. If Dolph was going on for a while, we could have made more. But this defense attorney's like, open and shut case, Johnson. Like, it's done. He didn't do it. And I can prove that. Right? So, shenanigans. Anywho, that concludes our super chats and the hearing not the hearing, but at least the opening arguments for today. There are a few witnesses. I might do a recap tomorrow, but I just want to start with the first few witnesses, because here's what you see, right? Look at this seal. If I was doing this live, I would hate it, because they were gone for like 2 or 3 hours today. There's one witness where they're not showing their face, right? I think that was witness 1. There's another witness where you can only see their feet. See that? So I'm guessing that might be one of the other co-defendants. So it could either be Cornelius Smith or Justin Johnson. And you could see that looks like a jumpsuit and some Crocs type of shoes. So that looks like it might be the longest one. And remember, the defense attorney said that he was really going to focus on Cornelius Smith, right? And you could see that this person is holding what appears to be a transcript. So I do want to take some independent time to review that, and we'll go from there. But it does look like the defense attorney ended the day with with reviewing Yeah, you could see it. You could see the face. He's grilling him. Like, that's going to be an interesting recap. Mike says, that's Cornelius' red ass. Listen, I mean, to each their own. But I think that this attorney summed it up for us very well and what we can expect. So I'm going to just break it out into the most important parts, save y'all a little bit of time, because I don't like how law and crime, and even if it is Judge Sisko, or if we needed for one of the defendants to be transported in, they had people waiting for hours, and I don't want to do that to y'all. So I'd much rather do it in the afternoon to make sure that we value y'all's time. Okay. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and head out. So remember, Donna Adelson, we're on opening statements watch. Me and my team are working on that. We're ready for it. So as soon as it happens, boom, we're going live. I really want to see what Donna's team has to say, because today they gave Wendy a little bit of covering. You know, the big issue with her thing, and you'll see it in the video, is that Donna is the defendant. She's also Wendy's mom. So Donna wanted to, you know, they subpoenaed Wendy to testify. Now, here's what happens. If they cross-examine Wendy, Wendy might say some incriminating things, which kind of makes her look guilty. What incriminating things? Did you not plot to kill your ex-husband, ma'am? We have some questions. Now, Donna doesn't want to put Wendy in a position where she'll have to answer those type of questions, so it gets complicated. If the prosecutor calls her, which we know Miss Georgia, that's her name, Georgia is going to Georgia's going to bring her up and ask some tough questions. I did that footage last night, round 3 of Georgia and Wendy. It's very riveting to watch. I just need to finish editing it, but hopefully we can get that one out for y'all tomorrow, since it's a pretty slow day. But yeah, so you have Georgia and Wendy going at it, right? We already know what to expect there, because there have been 3 trials already. The hitmen have gone down. Charlie, Donna's other child, you know, conspired to help the murder happen, right? He hired the hitmen and all of those things. So 3 trials altogether. Wendy testified in all of them. Georgia brings her up. So we know that the prosecutor is likely going to call Georgia, the prosecutor is likely going to call Wendy. Now, on the defense side, and Charlie did it, Charlie brought up Wendy as well. Now, Wendy was very much nervous on the stand. I just filmed it last night. She looked scared. Like, you know, when people are holding things and they're trying to keep a straight face with their, you know, their hands are just rattling away. Like, Wendy was up there like, it sounds like this is your 3rd time here. Why are you shaking so much? But I think it's because she said some incriminating things. I don't want to spoil it because I want you to watch that video. Hopefully we can have it done tomorrow. But that last round, when she testified and Charlie was right there, her brother's looking at her. It's different when it's the hitmen in trial 1 and trial 2, the people that actually pull the trigger. But when it's your family, what does that look like, right? I've also been told that Wendy is scared to testify, and that's why we had this emergency motion today. The judge is going a little easy on her, you know, because she was going to refuse to testify. She's going to get up on the stand, and if there was something she wasn't comfortable with, she was going to plead the 5th, like Woody. So anyway, I'm excited for Donna Adelson. I hope you are too. We're going to jump on out of here and expect a YSL Brian Steele update in the next hour or so. All right, y'all. Stay safe out there. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.